Today on Crooked Mustache, we have the brand new Kia K5. Stay tuned. So Kia's Optima, or K5 as it's now officially badged, here in the US and weirdly in China, has been around as a model since the year 2000. It was first launched as Kia's contender for the midsize car segment, meant to compete with the likes of Camry and Accord. Though much like Formula One has their best of the rest field, after Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull, Kia really mostly competed with Mazda's 626, Mitsubishi's Galant, and Nissan's Optima. Back then, it was offered standard with 149 horsepower 4-cylinder and a V6 option, making a massive 170 horsepower. Now it's received several redesigns and facelifts since then. The second generation, way back in 2005, saw the introduction of the K5 name in South Korea, and the third generation saw Kia drop the V6 altogether in favor of a turbo variant of its base model 4-cylinder for customers that were looking for more power. And now with the fifth generation here in the US, Kia has saw fit to finally bestow upon us the K5 name. Completely forgot everything you just said. And now Kia finally saw fit to grace the US market with a legitimate K5 badge. Unlike many independent dealers and well-known reviewers are saying that the K5 is something new, this is actually the fifth generation Optima. It's less hello K5 goodbye Optima and more hello Optima K5. Moving on. Now the K5 is the successor to 2020's Optima, but very little is shared between the two cars. And before we take a look at the goodies under the hood, let's head inside and take a look at the interior. From the driver's seat, I can tell you that this new interior is really nice. It's a really nice place to sit. Honestly makes the Optima's interior look extremely outdated. This upright display, an 8.5-inch touchscreen, which still has buttons on the side to give you that feeling of a physical control instead of just a black plain canvas of plastic. Optional is also the 10-inch touchscreen, which does lose the buttons in favor of some extra screen acreage, although it does maintain touch controls on the side. But all of this does to actually remove clutter from down here by the AC controls and keep everything as simple as possible. You got a knob for your temperature, a knob for your passenger's temperature, and these buttons down here to control where the air hitting you comes from, how hard it blows, and where it goes to. And once again, we have these buttons that we're just going to ignore because on day one, it's AC on, and that's an end of it. The materials throughout are really nice. This is far from your grandmother's old Kia. The touch of aluminum trimming the entire interior really sets it off. Now, it's not all champagne and caviar. You can see places where Kia skimped out on it. For example, you have this beautiful leather-wrapped steering wheel, but then this weird plastic over the center horn. Same thing here with the shifter. I love the shifter, and I also hate it. It reminds me of the hands-on throttle from those flight simulators. But then, again, it does actually fit. It's nice, it's big, it's chunky. The kind of thing you can use comfortably when wearing gloves if you're driving this car in the winter. It is all-wheel drive after all. Although I would have preferred, once again, it seems that all manufacturers get this wrong. When you put it in sport mode, it's again backwards. It's shifting up is forward and shifting down is backward. They're just not getting it right. Absent from this particular car are some features that are available in different trim levels. For example, the integrated wireless charger actually slots your phone and locks it in place, ensuring that it's out of range of your line of sight to keep distractions to a minimum. After all, your phone is connected to the car, whether through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Also, down here would be the heated and cooled seat controls, which are little toggles, forward for heat, backward for cold. Makes things very simple. All in all, this car is very driver oriented. I love the slight tilt of everything, and honestly, it's very sporty. My biggest downside in this trim, and from what it looks like Kia is only offering it on the GT, if you want paddles, you're gonna have to go for the full kit and caboodle and splurge on the best trim. Onto the back seat. In terms of passenger comfort, there's really nothing to complain about. Room is extremely ample. You could comfortably sit 2 adults here, no problem. I'm 6 foot, plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room. When it comes to amenities, although this model is missing the AC, which at this point I can honestly say should be standard on any car with rear seats, it does have in place of its normal power outlet 2 USB chargers, which means that all you need to do is have a cable and you're ready to charge. Now, while this is technically 3 seats with 3 3-point belts, I wouldn't want to be the person sitting in the middle. You could put 3 children back here, but when it comes to adults, I'd limit it at 2. And now behind you are the ubiquitous 60/40 folding rear seats, which give you access to the cargo area and a pass-through if there's anything that you need to bring in. Speaking of the cargo area, let's talk about the trunk. And yes, it's a trunk. On a fastback bodied car like this, it should have been a hatchback, and to be honest, I would have preferred the hatch like what's on the Stinger, the K5's bigger brother, but we got a trunk. So we're going to talk about the trunk. At 16 cubic feet, it's not what you'd call tiny. Given the fact that nothing really comes close, the only car that has a larger trunk in its class is the Honda Accord with 0.7 cubic feet more. Really, there's not much more you can ask for. Now on to the rest of the car. The Kia K5 is stunning. Now, to say that the Optima was an unattractive car would be ridiculous, but just look at this thing. It's amazing what they've been able to do. It's like they took the Stinger, put it through a copy machine at 95%, made a few tweaks, and ended up with this. Now, nowadays, everybody's making fastback cars. The Fusion when it first came out, the A5, but it's not just a style trend. Pushing the rear glass further out has aerodynamic effects. NASCAR realized this in the 80s when they would push the rear windows further and further out, giving the car more of a sloped rake, like a fastback. For them, it meant higher top speed, but for the average consumer, it means better gas mileage on the highway. Now let's take a look under the hood. All Kia K5s come standard with Kia's 1.6 liter GDI turbo, making 178 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque, replacing the outgoing 2.4 liter non-turbo engine as the base model power plant. But due in November is the 2.5 liter turbo, coming with around 300 horsepower and class-leading 311 foot-pounds of torque. Currently, this engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic, and once the new model comes out, it'll be available with a similar system to Audi and Porsche with a DSG 8-speed automatic transmission. Well, that's enough standing around. Let's take it for a test drive. Here we go, we're driving the Kia K5 Turbo. Now this is... Okay, it was at this point that I noticed that the video was just not going to come out smooth. Video stabilization with the camera that I had pointed at me was just not working. So let me run down some quick points that I want to cover about the drive with the Kia K5 Turbo. So let me right off the bat start. This is the 1.6 and it was a pretty base model trim, but what I can say, it is very responsive. That little engine, the torque that it has, it makes the car feel alive. It is more than adequate for the average driver. The seating position is extremely comfortable. The infotainment system being perfectly vertical makes it extremely clear in all lighting conditions. The driver's seat truly does feel like a cockpit. Everything is driver oriented. Everything is clear within reach. The car rides wonderfully, comfortable. Even over rough roads, the car was extremely comfortable. I wish more options were included as standard. I wish the paddles were available on other trim levels other than the GT. Seeing that this car is aimed squarely at the Accord and the Camry, if you haven't already told yourself that's what I need to buy because XYZ, the Kia K5 is absolutely worth a look. You won't regret it. Well, let me wrap it up here and pass it back over to myself. So that's the 2021 Kia K5 Turbo. Kia has more than earned its place in the market today, and it's no longer the butt of the joke or the car you got because you couldn't afford the one you really wanted. Gone are the days of Kias being a box with 4 wheels and a warranty. They are a force to be reckoned with across all of their models. And to be totally honest, as good as the GT line is today, when the GT comes out in November, it's going to be hard to pass up. Thanks for watching.